NBA mock draft part 2, picks 16 through 30. Just quick recapping 1 through 15. Biggest feedback was Cade at 14, which was expected. I did say that if the Warriors, because they are in win now mode, pushing to give Steph the send off, if they want to take him at 7 because they don't think he'll be available at 14, and then they're comfortable since Wagner probably won't be there at 14 either for you, taking like a Herb Jones at 14, then permitted. Otherwise, I've gone on the Cade rants long enough, but somebody from the community did report back that Cade's been at Tigers games for like the last week or whatever. So now I think they're trading away the pick, because I don't think you're doing that just to then draft Jalen Green number 1 overall. I think you're giving those vibes to show, oh, we really want him, and now you're just trying to get like a max bid on that number 1 pick. We'll see how it works for you, Cotton. But yeah, since the Pistons aren't going to accept that trade from the Thunder for Shea in the 6th, I think the Thunder's draft becomes about how do we get Shea to stay. I mean, this is proving to him that we're not just going to dick around with these highly volatile players and like the whatever the hell we're putting around you. We're going to make a serious attempt at paying you like $30+ million because OKC probably is not the funnest place to live in. I stayed at a decent hotel there actually when I was driving across the country, but it was not the funnest place to visit. And I imagine with lifestyle, everything being so big nowadays, he's looking on Instagram like, what the fuck am I doing here? So we're going to shell it out to him, and we also have to prove to him how serious we are. So I think these 2 picks, bringing in winning, will be huge. So it's 16 and 18. We're taking Jared Butler at 16 to make sure the Grizz don't get any funny ideas. Just a straight winner, won 4 or something high school championships. The first one as an 8th grader, was like the starting point guard on the varsity wing basketball team. No surprise that he came out, whatever, first half, and then more memorably in the second half, just coming out and dropping those 2 big dick daggers on the Zags to kill them off. I don't know how many of these Jalen Brunson, Monte Morris types we're going to have to run through just because they're not prototypical NBA whatever, or that a goofy fucking GM has his nose up. And we're just going to have to continue to see these undervalued commodities happen. I do think you're going to have to take Butler a little earlier this year because obviously weaker draft. And he's a known commodity. Like, we know what we're going to get. This role that you want Cade to play, that you want like Bouknight to play, people drafting him high, that like second unit captain that can come play with the first unit sometimes and really let certain players shine, like your 1 guard. Yeah, I think like that's Butler, but like we know that's going to be Butler rather than guessing on these other guys. But hey, so yeah, Butler at 16, then at 18, I like Robinson-Earl. We show Shea we're bringing in another winner, a fundamentally sound guy that's going to bring winning basketball, winning plays, good fundamentals to the team. Swap out some of the minutes of these super volatile, improving guys. I get that kind of eats into Polo Lulu's development, and people are super high on him. So if you want to bring in like Sharp, then, and actually build some inside presence, he can pass pretty well. Maybe that's enticing to Shea as well. Some good kickouts for Butler, for Shea. But yeah, I mean, Isaiah Roby's not going to actually work as like your main inside presence. That's not a real thing. The Knicks have 19 and 21. And I think they have the guard to pair with quickly for the future. I think they take David Johnson at 19. He's going to be really, really good. I think it's just a similar situation to a lot of the Texas players where they weren't exactly put in the best position to shine. David Johnson, not because of a position thing, anything else. It was just because they didn't have enough guards on that team. It was him and Carlik Jones playing like 40 minutes a game. I mean, you just saw he was so tired all the time, completely sapped his athleticism. I mean, this is like a big 6'5" guard that, like, my first impression of this kid was like his freshman year versus Duke in Cameron, like came down, I forget what the play was. It was like a tight game and just like leapt off from like the Michael Jordan line and fucking just threw down a hammer like right all over our like, top 10 prospects' faces. And I was like right there, circled. He has NBA size. He showed out in big ACC matchups. I feel like he's a super, super undervalued commodity in this draft. Maybe one of the most, right next to like Herb Jones. And then I don't even see Derek Culver on people's draft boards. So if you're going to take a top 3 pick on Evan Mobley, I fucking hope you're looking at Derek Culver with like a waiver, whatever the hell it's called. And then at 21, I think the Knicks take Garuba, the Spanish kid. I think you can play him. He'll be a nice big off the bench to replace Randall, and then you can also play him with Randall to give another look, add some defense, like a little quicker look, but then also swapping him out, you give like a defensive look for Randall's more offensively oriented game. I like the Garuba guy, and the Knicks just don't need a ton. They need a lead guard to pair with quickly, and then they need to grow. But otherwise, you have the core like Randall, Barrett, as long as he's sticking to his role and taking those corner threes, and then otherwise playing good defense, getting down transition, doing whatever. As long as he has Barrett, Randall, and then quickly, and then David Johnson, and then you have Robinson and stuff. I mean, and Noel, you're just completely fine. You just need more time in that lead guard. So I like the Knicks there. The Hawks at 20, I think Herb Jones is an amazing fit. Because sooner or later, maybe a lightning bolt will come down and strike the head of the GM of the Hawks, and he will just magically realize that Trae Young needs to be moved to the second unit. This is how they're going to win a championship. They're close. He's going to be moved to the second unit. Kevin Huerter's going to become primary ball handler. They're going to draft Herb Jones, and they're going to have a starting lineup of Kevin Huerter, Herb Jones, DeAndre Hunter, John Collins, and Clint Capella. And they're going to take it to the ship. I just think Herb Jones does a million things well. He's a winner. I think if you pair him with Huerter, just imagine that length all over the court. Yeah, I think he's perfect. I think they have enough shooting. It would have been cool if they had Hunter this year, huh? But I think Herb Jones is an absolutely great fit at the Hawks. I said this in the other preview. I might have said in this one already. It's a little late. But Herb Jones is just going to be a guy that we look at however many years down the road and be like, damn, that guy won a shitload of basketball games. Where'd that come from? Came from watching him in college. He's going to be a stud. At 22, the Lakers take Joel Ayayi. Great upside. Comes from a good program with the Zags. Not going to make a ton of rookie mistakes to fuck you early on, ruin whatever little run LeBron has left. It makes a lot of sense. I would love to have the Thunder, the Knicks, the Hawks all take Ayayi. I think he's an unbelievable talent. He doesn't really fit in those spots with the guards they have in the future. Quickly for the Knicks. Shea for the Thunder, unless you get rid of him, and then I would take Ayayi at 16. And then Huerter for the Hawks. I mean, they're all like kind of gangly and stuff. I don't really want all that. We're just not going to be able to defend when push comes to shove. No reason to run down a Lillard and McCollum rabbit hole when you don't have to. The Rockets with back-to-back picks at 23 and 24. I mean, we're basically building around Kevin Porter, Kai Jones, and Christian Wood. So let's add a couple more guards in there. I actually switched out Champagnie because now Kispert's available. We throw in Corey Kispert for the outside shooting, just like Ayayi. He's going to be fundamentally sound. He's going to bring winning in. And then we grab a little unathleticism in Corey Kispert, and we conversely add a ton of athleticism with BJ Boston, and we imagine a future with Kevin Porter and BJ Boston creating fucking havoc on the wing. I really like BJ Boston, and I think he showed a lot just about what kind of person he is, what kind of worker he is, who he's going to become when Kentucky was struggling so mightily last year. And that kid kept up good body language, kept up with his teammates, tried to keep people connected, did what he could. He was by far the most impressive piece on that team for me. He shot fucking terribly, but his shot doesn't look that bad to me. I think it will improve. Maybe it's like the kind of thing where it's like a Brandon Ingram-y type thing, because there's some similarity there where he's like a little bit of a mini version, like the medium to the large, where I think his shot has the room to grow in the NBA. I really like BJ Boston. I think it's really good value for them there. And then you're walking away with like, you have John Wall to lead a young core of Kai Jones, Christian Wood, Corey Kispert, and BJ Boston. That sounds pretty good, doesn't it? And Kevin Porter. Whoo! And with John Wall leading them, your team just got a lot better. The Clippers at 25 take Kessler Edwards out of Pepperdine, but he's a nice stretch four. He can do a lot of the things they asked Morris to do. I like him a lot. The Nuggets, it just fits their scheme so well too. Not a lot needs to be said on that one. The Nuggets at 26, David Johnson's no longer available. They take Aaron Henry from Michigan State. I think all that screaming Izzo did in his face that one time, many a time, paid off. A side note on something we're going to touch on a little bit later, but people comparing Scotty Barnes to, because it's very similar to this situation with the comps, but people comparing Scotty Barnes to Ben Simmons, it's not even close, man. Ben Simmons has never really shown an aptitude or a want to work hard. Instead of when he left Australia or whatever, instead of going to a program that was going to challenge him, he went to the program with like his uncle coaching it or whatever. Scotty Barnes went to get challenged at Florida State. Similar thing to Aaron Henry. He got challenged at Michigan State. He didn't like transfer some shit out to get embarrassed on TV. He came out and supported his coaches. That was the right thing to do. That's the kind of guy you want. I think it fits well. He's like 6'6" long. He can start next to Jamal Murray, play that Will Barton role, bring some winning because they're ready to win like right now. And yeah, I like that fit a lot. At 27, the Nets take Champagnie, a perfect fit. Or if Sharp's still available, I can see you doing that and just getting back what you lost in the Jared Allen trade. But I think Champagnie works out so well. He'll do all the little things, all the little Bruce Brown things, but better. You'll have a higher ceiling. I think you can be like the ultimate role player, like that, like a souped-up version of Kent Bazemore, like an even better version of him. Love that pick for the Nets. The Sixers go with Dosunmu at 28. Just shuffling through this endless carousel of guards through their starting lineup and bench. But I think they go back to a more experienced guy, in the more vein of Matisse Thybulle, where they got a more experienced guy and it's worked out better for him rather than these super projects when they're, I guess, trying to win now, even though they have two pieces that aren't going to get them there. Because you're starting to realize, like, you can't build your whole system, absolutely everything, have it hinge on Joel Embiid, because by the time you get to like the back end of the playoffs, he's going to be so worn down, it's not really going to matter. And then obviously Ben Simmons is like a non-starter. So yeah, I think Dosunmu makes the most sense for the Sixers. At 29, the Suns get some help for freaking Ayton inside after watching that in the playoffs. They have to do something. So if you're not going to have a guy like Sharp available, I think we go for Sims. Jericho Sims, another guy from Texas, along with Greg Brown, along with Kai Jones, that we believe are super undervalued because Shaka Smart doesn't actually coach. I also think Moses Wright is a sneaky good pick here. He hung heavy in the ACC with that. It was just him inside for Georgia Tech, and the guy was an absolute man. He's going to play in the NBA. He will 100% have a long career in the NBA. I can also see if you want to go with like a McBride here to get yourself like, you know, the backup guard, like the steady backup point guard kind of thing of the future. I can see if you want to do it. I wouldn't take him in the first round. And then the Jazz. I think you take the shot on Jason Preston here. The kid from Ohio that's defied the odds and everything. He was like a walk-on or whatever going into college, and then he's now an NBA draft pick after the growth spurt. I think you take a chance that this could be the piece that unlocks the whole caboodle for you, where Donovan Mitchell no longer has to handle the ball and everything, and you just have this like super freak vision guy at the one spot that just makes the whole thing just click, and like what was already looking pretty, super pretty, at times just turns into like a beautiful Margot Robbie. And It's like a Bob Ross painting every time we watch the Jazz on the court. Could end terribly, but I don't know, man. Continues to defy the odds. I like that pick. It could just completely unlock everything. We'll go over sleepers, some undraftables. You'll notice that nowhere in the first round do I have Jalen Johnson or Zaire Williams. They both quit on their team last year. I watched Jalen Johnson up close quit on his Duke brothers. I don't draft quitters. There's just a 0% chance they have long NBA careers, like long productive NBA careers. How are they going to do so? They just quit like after the tiniest bit of adversity. You're going to run into a lot more than that in the NBA. We don't have, in this middle section, for any of these teams like the Nuggets, Nets, Sixers, or anything, if you guys want to do the Bouknight thing, good on you. I'm personally not going to... People had such high expectations for him last year in college, and I get he dealt with injuries and everything, but he just like didn't come close to any of the expectations we had for him, and now we're going to be like, but he'll fill them next year in the NBA. That makes no sense to me. And the way overvalued list that like I saw them on the first round mock draft of a couple other people, and I was like, what the hell are we talking about? Murphy out of Virginia, nope. I don't, what tape or whatever. It's just because his body's shaped the way it is. That's not enough for me. I think it's semi-similar with Keon Johnson, Jaden Springer, Primo. Keon Johnson and Jaden Springer particularly, I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot stick. That Tennessee team, walking into last year, you looked at it, you're like, this Tennessee team needs very little to get over the hump. They just need the guy that's like the killer. Like they had the whole thing, Vescovi, Pons, Fulkerson, the whole thing where it was like a legit line. It was just like, we need that go-to stud closer kid. I thought Springer was going to be it. Was nothing resembling it. I thought Keon Johnson could possibly, I mean, he came up bigger than Springer, but not saying much, man. I'm not taking either of them. Primo is just, it's just completely, it's like, okay, the guy's 6'5" and can shoot. I like him the best of this little trio because he actually can shoot. You saw him hit big shots for Alabama. And then Christopher for Arizona State is absolutely banana shit. I don't even think people can justify that. I think it's literally the shape of it. This is such a shallow draft. Such a shallow draft. Just trade back, accumulate. But yeah, we'll do a little sleeper thing tomorrow. Hope everybody has a wonderful one. Man, I need a better closing, huh? I do.